So I went to see something. I went to see the Super Mario Brothers movie. And do you know what? It's really, really good.
Is it?
Yeah, it is good. It's not as good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Lego Movie because it's missing a little bit of the story of the dad and the son from Lego Movie. But it is really good. But I want to talk about etiquette.
Oh.
I want to talk about
people have the phones on and stuff.
Right, it's a kids' movie.
Yeah.
So I expected there to be noise from kids. That's absolutely fine. But when you go see a film and there's 25 minutes of adverts and trailers, right?
Which is annoying enough.
You've had 25 minutes to prepare yourself here, right? Honestly, mate, as soon as that film started, every single popcorn bag, crisp bag, sweet bag, just started opening around the cinema. I'm thinking, you've had 25 minutes to prepare for this. It's just so annoying. And I know obviously it must be paid to the kids going, having your sweets till the film comes on.
Yeah.
But come on, at least when you say till the film comes on, it doesn't have to mean the film is right. Well, it starts with a bit of a voiceover, if I remember right, as well. So the voiceover's on here is, and I'm like, oh really, please.
Maybe next time you should just watch it if you can at home.
Hello and welcome to Watch It If You Can. My name is Dave.
My name is Liam.
This podcast is all about box sets we've created of our favourite films and TV shows. Some you've seen, some you won't, and others you may never want to watch. However, we can say if you've never seen The Bodyguard, don't worry, we'll always love you. All we want to do is chat on about these films and TV shows that we love so dearly, and maybe, just maybe, you should watch it if you can. You okay?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. Having me little rant, obviously. I've calmed down.
Do you know what as well, though? The cost to buy popcorn and sweets and drinks and that at the cinema, it's not a cheap day out now, is it?
No, I used to work in a Blockbuster and a bag of popcorn was this has gone back 20 years as well. It's £1.35. But as a store, you only paid 15 pence per bag.
Yeah.
So the profit on that food is
bonkers.
Is bonkers, yeah. I'm in the host chair, so it's Liam's pick this week. What is it?
Bridesmaids.
Oh, hold on. That's my Wilson Phillips joke there. So what is Bridesmaids?
So Bridesmaids is a 2011 film, and it's about two long-term friends, Annie and Lillian, who are at two different stages of their life. And it's just basically Lillian's about to get married, asks Annie to be a maid of honour, and Annie's not the best place in her life due to various reasons, and it's all about the build up to the wedding, and it's a great film.
All right, why is it on the list then?
I was really conscious with Boxset 2 to get a female perspective film on there, because I think it's very easy for us. We're both guys. We watch films for us, so it was just we are making a box set, so I just wanted to just sort of pick something which was got a really good female perspective, so that was one of the reasons I picked it. And also, it's just bloody funny. It is a really good film, but it's one of these points I mentioned back with Community, that funny and sentimental element, which works really well. But there's been a lot of debate recently about, can female comedians be funnier than male comedians? I don't know, it seems to be sort of reared its ugly head again recently, and I always go back, this is the film you want to say it's got nothing to do. I'm going to use the example of Ghostbusters, the remake where it was an all-female cast, wasn't rubbish because it was an all-female cast. It was just a rubbish film, and when it's an all-male cast, it never gets criticised for, well, it was funny because they were all men. I've never heard that. And especially a lot of the stuff, especially around Star Wars, and the Miss Marvel trailer again, it's been absolutely trolled just because it's 3 female leads, and I don't get this. It's something I don't understand. So it was just all of them things. I just thought, no, we wanted to pick a female orientated film for Boxset 2, and regardless of male and female, if you watch the film, the themes are universal. Again, it's all about friendship and that ever-changing relationship, especially with like 2 long-term friends. It's sort of, we've been friends many years. It's never the same, is it? You go through little cycles and stages, and it's just, and I love one of the themes as well is, because it's quoted quite a few times in it by Annie, is like, is this my lowest point? And it's not. It just keeps getting lower. But we've all felt like in that situation where, when you've just been at your lowest, you make poor decisions, and those themes come through in a film. So I think it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to go on the male or female bit on that one. It's just those themes universal. And then one of the last reasons why I picked it is it's Judd Apatow. I know we were saying about Rob Reiner, and Tony Scott as well. So I feel like Tony Scott made films for like 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
I feel Judd Apatow made films for me from my late teens, 20s, if you know what I mean. They're my perfect type of film. Always got great cast, great writers, and he feels like he has a gang of actors and people have worked with him for many years, and he always come back and work with him. So that says something. I think he comes across as quite a nice guy.
Yeah, by all accounts, he's like one of the super nice guys in Hollywood, isn't he? And like say that core group of actors that work with him, it just seems to be in every movie, and that you only get that when it's someone that you trust, isn't it? And someone you wanna be with. And
he just nails that. It's funny. It can be grossly funny, as in quite crude. It can be quite subtle funny. But it's that sentiment. His films always have managed to have that real heartfelt sentiment, whether it be about relationships or stages of your life, and a lot of the things he looks at in his films are, he never really goes down that route of big aspirational lifestyle. If you notice, a lot of the characters and themes are people not downtrodden but a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't go for there's no big rich people. In fact, if there are rich people in his films, they tend to be the butt of the jokes, if you know what I mean.
They're the worst people in the movies, aren't they?
And it's just a little, that perspective he gives in his films. So it's one of them. I could have picked many Judd Apatow films, and we go in a little bit into them later. But for that reason, and the fact I wanted to pick a female perspective for Boxset 2, I don't think I can go wrong with Bridesmaids.
No, it's a good pick, isn't it? I was trying to think of sort of female comedies, and I think we're going to talk a little bit later about other films we've recommended, but this is probably the top of the list, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for the listener who may not have seen it, or even if you have seen it, the people that are in it, who would we know, and what other things have they been in that we'd like?
So the main character is Annie, and she's played by Kristen Wiig, who also writes it as well. And like most of the cast, she's come from Saturday Night Live. They've all come from there. But you will also know her from the Despicable Me franchise, which is she voices Wiig, and a great one, Adventureland.
Remind me, I can't.
Adventureland is the one with who's the guy who plays The Social Network, Jesse Eisenberg. He's a young kid. He's got to go and get a summer job. I think he finishes college, and his parents make him go and get a job, and he gets a job at a really crappy fair, and it's a great film. And Kristen Wiig's in it. And is it Wiig?
Yeah.
It is Wiig. Yeah. I always think it's Rig. I don't know why.
No, it's definitely a W.
It's definitely Rig, isn't
Jonathan Moss calls her that as well, regardless.
Kristen Wiig. Adventureland is a really good film. And here's where there's a big similarity, because then Lillian is played by Maya Rudolph. Again, comes from Saturday Night Live. She's also in a film The Way, Way Back, which both the characters, character she plays in The Way Back and the character Kristen Wiig plays in Adventureland are very similar. It's about it's like basically a kid who gets a job in the summer park, theme park, goes through like coming of age. And they both play the partners of the charismatic owner or the person who runs the park. It's weird when you watch them, but didn't realise until I was watching Australia. But they're both really good films.
Kristen Wiig, I've just got a few recommendations before we move on. She's in MacGruber.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. She's in the movie, and there was a TV show, TV series that came out on Peacock, and she's brilliant in that. She's obviously in Anchorman 2 as well.
Yes.
She was in Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Never seen that one.
You haven't seen that? No. But she was in 2 episodes of The Simpsons, because most of the people that we talk about on here being The Simpsons. But she played the young Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development.
Yeah. I was going to put that one.
That's my recommendation. Just go back and watch those episodes. Maya Rudolph, though, one I don't think you've seen either. Mitchell's and the Machine.
No.
The Netflix cartoon.
No.
That is brilliant. Will Forte plays the dad and she plays the mum. She's also in 2 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
She is. She plays a marshal or something.
She's a US marshal there, because a little bit of a link to Terry Crews in a bit, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, there's links all over everywhere in this episode. Loads of episodes. They're all, there's loads.
So who else is in it?
Okay, we've got just one other thing Maya Rudolph has been in. Have you seen Pop Stars with Andy Samberg from Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I'm trying to think of the tagline. Pop Stars.
He plays a boy band. That's a really good film. And she's also in Sisters with both Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. She is, isn't she? Which is a good film. Yeah. She's really good in it as well. And she also does one of the voices. I watched it recently, the Disney Pixar film, Luca. Is a really good one. She is in Luca, yeah. Really good one. Next one we've got on the list is the character Helen, played by Rose Byrne. I remember Rose Byrne from Damages.
Did you know she was Australian?
Yes.
See, I didn't. And I watched an interview sort of this week leading up to it, and I was like, I didn't realise she was actually from Australia.
And I only found this out the other day. Is it Sarah Snook who plays...
From Succession?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's Australian as well, isn't it? Like, they don't have to make some good actors and actresses over there. Don't know what's in the water over in Australia.
And they do a good American accent, don't they?
They do, yeah. So we've got Rose Byrne. I absolutely loved Damages back in the day when it was on with... It's Glenn Close, isn't it?
Glenn Close, yeah.
Oh, and they have a great baddie every series. John Goodman was one, and Ted Danson was one. And they are really, really good bad guys. That like
I haven't seen it, I'll be honest.
Really
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's really good. What else is Ellen? She played Moira Taggart in the X-Men in the later series as well, which is really worth seeing. And also she's in Spy with Melissa McCarthy.
It's another Paul Feig movie, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And then we've also got Melissa McCarthy in the film. She plays Megan. I love Melissa McCarthy, and if you want to see her just as she's breaking out, have you seen the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where she plays the shop?
I've got that on my list, yeah. I've got some Rose Byrne ones as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go on, sorry.
Just I've Bad Neighbours with Seth Rogen.
Yes.
That's a really good film, in it. She's also in 28 Weeks Later.
I've never seen that one.
See, you're not a big horror fan, are you?
No, that's Danny Boyle, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. There's 28 Days Later, and then she's in the sequel 28 Weeks Later. But also as well, she was in Attack of the Clones. She's just she's a handmaiden to Padme. But with the interview I watched with her, she was on Jimmy Kimmel. She didn't realise she was in a prequel. She watched it like years later. Her husband put it on for the kids, and she was wondering why is he putting them ones on when he's introducing the kids to Star Wars. And her husband explained to her that the movie she's in took place before. And she didn't even realise. She only in it like a small part, but it's one of the first things she did.
Yeah. I think she's an amazing actress, and I love Wendy first brought. She hadn't done much comedy. I think she had an appearance in Get Him to the Greek just before this, but they were a bit like especially the other cast didn't. She wasn't renowned for.
I think she originally auditioned for a different character, didn't she? And it was but from what I read, I can't remember the character it was, but originally she came in to do one of the more comedic roles, and it was Jude Apatow that said, you'd be better in the straight role.
Yeah.
But she is funny as well,
she is
isn't
really,
she?
I'll come to this scene a little bit later, but basically she improved a lot at the time as well. Well, obviously,
I think there's a lot in the movie, isn't there?
Yeah, but they were really impressed with, like, and I think since then she has actually gone on to do a lot more comedy. I think this was the first one that gave her the real confidence to go and do comedy, because up until then she was pretty much a straight actor. A couple of other people in there as well. I've
got some Melissa McCarthy ones as well.
Let's go back to Melissa McCarthy.
You keep forgetting my recommendations here.
I know.
You can cut that bit out.
Well, to be fair, I didn't finish my recommendations because I forgot your recommendations. Melissa McCarthy, I've got to say, is one of my favourite actresses out there at the moment. I just love, even when she's in an absolute terrible film, I still enjoy just watching her. So pretty much anything Melissa McCarthy's in, but the few I've picked out is Gilmore Girls, which got her sort of up and running. The Heat
with Sandra Bullock
is an absolute brilliant film, and we've already mentioned it with Rose Byrne. Spy is a great film as well. It is.
Jason Statham's brilliant in that.
It's a really good film.
The couple of things I've picked is she was in 4 recently playing Hella.
Yes,
wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right.
In the kind of on stage
with
version
Matt
of it.
Damon and that, isn't it? Yeah.
But couple of films I picked is Identity Thief with Jason Bateman. Again, I think that's more because I love Jason Bateman, and she's great in this. But have you ever seen St. Vincent with Bill Murray?
No.
Chris O'Dowd's in it as well.
Yeah, I saw it on the IMDb the other day. I thought, I haven't seen that.
And one I didn't even realise she was in. And I've seen it hundreds of times, but not recently. But she was in Go. Do you remember Go with Timothy Olyphant? It's from the 90s. Oh, it's a really good film, but it must have been one of her really early films, and she's not got a big part. But I've never ever clicked that she was in it. Yeah.
And Joe, it's really interesting. Just as she was a kid, because she was in Gilmore Girls for quite a few years. Well, that was massive in America, Gilmore Girls. I went back and watched it a few years back on Netflix. It's one of the programs I got suckered into. When you watch 3 episodes, the next thing you know, it's like you're 3 seasons down the line. It's a really good show. She's good, but she was in Mike and Molly for about 4 or 5 years as well.
Yeah, I think did we get that on Channel 4 or Comedy Central? We get it here, don't we? But it's
so
not.
She was like, she had this, like, she was quite a hard-working actress for quite a few years as well. So yeah, I just love Melissa McCarthy. And when people say women aren't as funny as men, bullshit. Just watch Melissa McCarthy. She will just, whenever she's on Saturday Night Live, she's just outstanding. She's hosted a few times now, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was on as Sean Spicer said she played Trump's first
oh my god,
White House press cover. What I can't remember the name of the role now. It's the White House correspondent. White House, and she came on and played him. She was brilliant, wasn't she?
Also in Bridesmaids, we've got a character called Rita, played by wendimclendon Covey. I don't know much about it, but she's been in the Goldbergs, which is some people are highly rated.
So she's in Reno 911.
I've never watched Reno 911.
She's brilliant in the Goldbergs, but in Reno 911, she is absolutely hilarious.
I seem to remember I tried watching it at some point and just didn't go, but it's been running for a long time. I think
it's about 9 or 10 seasons. So listen, if you've never heard of Reno 911, it's basically a play on the old, I think it's still going, Cops. I don't know if we still get it here, but the Cops reality TV show, it's filmed exactly the same as that, and it's just so funny. So I was already aware of it before kind of this came along. I think Reno 911 was before, but she is really funny.
Like I said, I need to go back and watch Reno 911. Also in here we've got Becca, played by Ellie Kemper, who I absolutely adore. She was in The Office for quite a good few years, and again there's a big link to The Office and a lot of the
stars popping up.
Yeah, I've got a couple of honourables as well because it is a big cast. John Hamm, he's in it. What's weird, did you know John Hamm was previously a high school drama teacher?
I did read this, and I know what you're going to say next.
Yeah, and Ellie Kemper was one of his students.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
It's a funny little world. And then obviously we've got Chris O'Dowd, which we've already mentioned on our IT Crowd episode. We just love him. And then also we've got Rebel Wilson and Matt Lucas, who are just, I think they're so funny in this.
So again, the story I read was Rebel Wilson was almost going to be one of the main characters, wasn't she? And then obviously they cast it, they purposely then give her the role of the sister. They're just, she's so creepy though.
Yeah. Now, I watched it the other night, and where have I got this scene from where she's in the bath with Matt Lucas? Have I just made something else?
I think you've just dreamt that. I don't think it's a deleted scene, is it?
And it's really weird because they're like obviously the brother and sister, but they're in the bath together. I think it might have been a deleted scene or something they've spoken about that they were going to do.
Something else. Yeah. I don't know. Just going back to Chris O'Dowd though, have you seen Slumberland yet?
No. I
think that should have been on the cinema. It was a Netflix movie, but I think it's so good. It's got Jason Momoa in as well, and I think if that had been on the cinema, it'd have been a massive hit.
Okay, yeah. I'll go.
He is also in 2 episodes of The Simpsons.
He is.
He's been in that. He's in St. Vincent, as I mentioned, but the Chris O'Dowd film I pick is Calvary with Brendan Gleeson, which again links to some of the other things that we've talked about as well, but that's from 2014. John Hamm is not credited on the movie, is he? Didn't want his name on it, did he?
No, he wasn't being funny, he just felt like it was just...
Well, he was coming off the back of Mad Men, wasn't he? He thought if his name was on it, people wouldn't think it was sort of a comedy, but John Hamm films, though, Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
Got to talk about how that was the best film of last year. I don't care what anyone says. We'll fight anyone on that point.
Yeah.
Baby Driver, he was in.
Loves Baby Driver.
Confess Fletch, the remake of Fletch. I've watched that.
I've never seen that.
It's okay. Whether they'll make more, I don't know, but it's definitely worth a watch. The Town, the Ben Affleck directed movie.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Now, what's the one I remember he did? It only came out a couple of years ago. It's something like $1 Million Arm or something like that's called, where basically
he's a scout, isn't he?
And he goes to India and he's convinced he's going to pick up, because cricket's big in India. He gets a baseball. That's a really good film as well. I remember watching that, and he's really good. I love John. I love Mad Men, and I think it's about time I should go back and rewatch Mad Men. It's a big commitment though, isn't it? Because it's
another sort of honourable mention is the Black Mirror episode White Christmas that he's in as well.
I've never really seen any of them. I've only seen, I think, the first series of Black Mirror.
The episode he's in is really, really good.
I know I need to go back. And I think the last honourable mention we've got in there, Terry Crews. And again, another Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference connection. They're all over the place. Everyone we mentioned is interconnected with Saturday Night Live, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Judd Apatow. It's like there's
a core group of people, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, out of all the people that are in it, and there is quite a few people to choose from, who's your favourite character?
Megan.
Is it Megan?
Melissa McCarthy just absolutely smashes this out the park. It's just...
Oscar nominated.
Yes. You do not think... You can't think of Bridesmaids without thinking of Megan. She's just the most complex, fascinating, funny character in there. You know, everything she does and says is just hilarious, and she doesn't pop up until quite late on as well. If you actually go back and watch it, it's not like she sort of comes in, like she's not actually in the film that a lot, and she sort of comes in not halfway through, but a bit late on.
We've been with the other characters a lot more longer until she appears, doesn't she? But she's just like a scene stealer, though, isn't she?
Oh, every scene she's in, she's just brilliant. I can't say enough how much I love Melissa McCarthy. I just think she's just amazing, and I love when she does straight roles as well, because I want to see that one she's done with Richard E. Grant.
Yes, yeah.
You've got a lot
really
of
good, doesn't it?
Yeah, but no, I think in this film, Megan, she'd break out everything she does. Just look at the scenes with her with the air marshal on the plane, which she puts a leg up on the deck.
That's a real life husband, isn't it? Yeah.
In real life. It's with the sandwich clip at the end as well. It's like, oh my god, she is just. And where she turns up at Annie's, and this is one of I'm not putting this down as one of my favourite scenes, but it when Annie at her lowest point, it's Megan who comes to sort of say, you need to get your shit together. and she turned up with all the dogs because she kept taking the freebie dogs from the bridal show. She was like, I think I overcommitted on this. She just got
because I think they say about taking the dogs, she's like, I've already got 2 in the car, isn't she? She ends up with 9, doesn't she?
And she drives past them like that with 9 in the car. But I think she's just absolutely fantastic, and a character is so fascinating because she makes out, you don't know much about her, but there's something weirdly, like, is she possibly like really rich as well, because she's got some weird,
I think she does say, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's got more money because she works for the, like, I don't know if it's the CIA. She does something where she's got high, like,
she says something about buying like a big 3-wheeler truck or something just because she can.
Or she could quite possibly be absolute full of shit as well. But it doesn't matter. I just think Melissa McCarthy absolutely steals the show in Bridesmaids.
I've gone low-key though.
Okay.
I've gone the total opposite. I've gone Chris O'Dowd.
Interesting.
One, because I love Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah, we both do, yeah.
So he's the Officer Nathan Rhodes in it. I just think he's just the nice guy that the film needs, because I'm not saying they're all horrible, but they're not particularly likeable. I don't think everyone either. I don't think you'd want to be friends with a lot of the people in the movie, especially like John Hamm's character.
Weirdly, is men don't actually play anything much in this film at all. They're almost secondary. Like, for example, Lillian, who's getting married, you see her husband to be, but he's hardly in the film.
I don't even think he hardly speaks, does he?
He's and it's really interesting that, like, they do completely, like, the guys in it are quite, they don't actually bring much to the film. I think Chris O'Dowd's character is the one that sort of, he's there to sort of bring Annie back, isn't he, Jim?
Yeah, I just think he's playing such a good part in it, even though it's only a small part, isn't it? But it's vital to the overall movie. I like the fact that he kept his accent, because I did read they wanted them to have an American accent, but they all loved his Irish one.
Because he does make a joke about it as well, like, are you even allowed to be a cop or something? Like,
he's going on about how tough he is and stuff, doesn't he? I just think he's the nice balance to the whole movie. So that's why I've gone with him. So in a female-led movie, I purposely tried to pick someone a little bit different though, because I knew you were going to pick Megan McCarthy, so I'm going to pick someone. I'll pick the opposite. I'll be the one that picks someone completely different then. Have you got a favourite scene?
I've got a couple, and to be fair, there's quite a few in the film. I love the speech duel.
See, that's what I put.
And this is the bit I said before. Rose Byrne apparently improvised a lot of this and this is where at the time they weren't too sure. Like, the cast and the crew were just like, oh, she's really good, because it's just where they just kept coming back and taking the mic. And, like, when she appears with the second mic,
I know
it just
it's so cringy though, isn't it?
But they both out cringe each other, and it's like it's not Annie making a tit out of herself. Both of them are doing it, and it's just like, oh, girls, come on back.
It's like a sort of a David Brent cringe when Annie starts singing the Diane Warwick song, and she starts singing that's what friends are for. Yeah. And then obviously she gets up and they're both doing it, and it's just you just want to, like, curl up and you just want to say, we were just watching it going, just stop.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene. I think it sets the film up as well. Also, we can't not mention the dress fitting scene, like, where it all goes wrong due to the food poisoning.
Is it the Mexican food they've just had?
It's
Brazilian food, isn't it? Brazilian meat.
It's like, and what's quite interesting, and that is the director and Judd Apatow, they were quite keen to try and push to get a little bit more crude element in that, whereas I think Kristen Wiig, the writer, she was a bit like, I don't really want to go down. But I think
that's interesting.
I think it really works, this scene, because going to get fitted for your wedding dress is such a big moment for women, and it's like, you know, in a very emotional thing. You're there with your friends again, and what happens in that scene is just, I know they go over the top, and it's just like there's just puke and shit everywhere, but the bit that just gets me is where Lillian runs out and she's crossing the road and she just sits down on the road and she just waves the cars by at the end. She's just like, just go, whatever. And it's just like, oh my God, it's like, it's that moment is pretty much film. But I didn't go for that one as my favourite one. Another favourite moment I have, and it's still not my favourite part, my favourite scene, is I love the tennis match between...
They're just absolutely battering each other with the balls. They're not even like... I mean, obviously playing to win, but the playing to just hurt each other at some point as well, aren't they?
It's the little bit, I can't remember if it's before or after the tennis game, and it's quite an important scene for later, is where Helen's two stepkids walk by and she goes, "Oh, Annie, these are my stepkids," and they just go, "Fuck off, Helen," and walk off. Really, and it's really quite, and they don't mention it, just moves on. But I think that one scene sets up for later, and it's quite an important scene. So I think it is quite a good scene. Now,
just before you go on to your main one, then the scene with Annie in the car trying to get the Chris O'Dowd character to help. You know, they pull up on slow side and they're like, they keep driving past. At one point she's like topless, isn't she? And another point she's like pretend like gangsters, aren't they? They're leaning back. But another scene I like, and apparently it was all improvised, is the scene in the store where the young girl comes in to buy the ring and they're just insulting each other back and forwards.
Do you know whose daughter that is?
No.
Peter Frampton, the guitarist.
Oh, is it?
That's his daughter.
That's a bit of a random casting, isn't it? I think the scene on the plane as well, when Annie took the pills and drank a glass of scotch with it, and she's just obviously just off her head, isn't she?
Call him Stove. What type of name? Are you an appliance?
She like gets kicked out, puts some sunglasses on, and comes back, sits in the chair, and she's just like...
It's a great scene.
What's your main one then?
I've got to go with Annie's meltdown in the bridal shower. And I just think...
It's so unexpected.
Yes, but it's just... This is where the writing is so good. It's the perfect payoff, because everything that's gone on in the film...
The little links to Paris.
Everything, it just goes off in that scene. And you can feel Annie's pain, where it just... I just feel like the writing... It's my favourite scene because I think it's the best written scene, because the whole film builds up to that moment. That's the payoff.
Yeah.
That is everything. Like we mentioned before, at what point is Annie at her lowest? We keep thinking she's at her lowest, and no, she goes lower. That is the lowest.
So the backstory is she'd suggested the Paris theme, hadn't she?
Yeah.
And then she gets the invite. It's a French invite, isn't it? In the present, they actually turn up. It couldn't be more French, could it? That was all her idea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the gift that Helen gives her
is the trip
after sort of, Annie's just given that little really personal stuff, And Helen's trying to pretend I haven't got a gift really, and gives her the envelope, doesn't she? And you're right. It built and built and built, didn't it?
And
where
I
she
just
flips.
think that it's where she's trying to flip the big giant cake cookie over on the where she runs up, and the chocolate fountain, which is the big concrete. Yeah. She's trying to push it, and she's
concrete fountain.
But you just at that point, you're with Annie. Whatever, everything that's gone wrong, everything that's all the decisions that's not gone her way, you are with her at that point, and you're just like, a little piece of you dies with her, because it's just like, you know what I mean? And that's the bit where obviously where Lillian goes, well, don't bother coming or something like that. And it's like, it's their relationship changes at that point as well. I like I said, there are so many scenes I could have picked. Like I didn't even mention the plane scene. But what was really interesting is apparently in the original script he did go to Las Vegas, and there was a whole multiple.
Oh right, it's all like deleted scenes, because there's a Paul Rudd deleted scene as well.
Yeah, but they didn't. But he didn't. When he comes to start filming it, he didn't go to Las Vegas because The Hangover, had just not long come out, and he thought, is it a little bit? So the whole scene was written quite last minute. And I think it's hilarious when you get escorted off the plane. Yeah. It's just, because you see Annie in handcuffs or something, don't you? And it's just like, but it goes to show sometimes when things don't go right in the film production, you can come up with some like great moments of cinema that are completely accidental.
So, lots of music in the film.
Yeah.
What's kind of the best song or piece of music that's in there?
It's a couple of pieces of songs. I've noted... there's a song called Blisters in the Sun, but a version by Nouvelle Vague. Now, Blisters in the Sun we've mentioned a few times, haven't we? Because the Violet Femmes, they used it in...
Tom Goes Point Blank.
And he used it recently in it. But it's a lovely little cover version of it, and it's completely... But also, I think it's a little throwback is, I don't know this, but the Violet Femmes who wrote the original song are from Milwaukee, which is where the film is set. I was like, nice little... Also, Blondie, Rip Her to Shreds, they've used that. And they also used the same song at the opening of Mean Girls as well. So I think that's a little nod to each other there as well. But, hold on, Wilson Phillips.
A live version of it as well.
It's just like it's an amazing song, and it's so perfect.
So from a perfect song then, to the question around... almost a perfect movie, but what would you do to make it better?
I wouldn't have Wilson Phillips in it.
You wouldn't have had that come out?
I just think it wasn't needed. They could have just sung the song like karaoke, like I think
the idea behind it was that Helen had organised the party and they'd gone so over the top. But at that point it was okay because Annie was accepted.
Yeah, no.
I think there could have been another scene where they haven't made up and Wilson Phillips walk out singing and Annie goes, oh, for fuck's
yeah, definitely. You know? I just feel like it was just a bit... No, you've mentioned it. When I was watching it again the other night, it just took me out the film for that little bit.
Having the real life things in there. So for me, it's interesting what you were saying before then about the discussions between Judd Apatow and Kristen Wiig, because I think the opposite. And with Judd Apatow, I would have ramped up the wedding store scene. I would have had all of them throw up on that dress.
Really?
Yeah. When she comes
apparently
out...
that's what... it's Paul Figg, isn't it? The director?
Paul Figg, sorry, yeah.
Apparently both of them, Judd and Paul, will really know you've got a more crudeness.
Yeah.
And Kristen Wiig was like, she really pushed. But I think it works. The blend of both works well.
The two things I'd have changed is that I think in the bridal store you could have gone absolutely over the top, yeah.
But even more so than Melissa McCarthy sitting on the sink.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd have had a splatter in the walls and everything. I would have just went for it. I'd have just had that scene. When she walks out in that dress, that would have been covered in sick. And then I would have just had one of them, Melissa McCarthy splatter on the wall. The other one was in the toilet, gets sick on her head, which is horrible anyway. I'd have had one going in a plant pot. I'd have had all sorts.
I love the bit where at that point, like Annie's not trying to keep it together, and
she's saying she's hungry.
Yeah,
actually, I could eat.
I could have a snack. Actually, she's like, "Oh, I've got you a sugared almond," and she's trying to eat it, and it's just the longest.
Yeah. She's sweating as well. You can see the sweat she looks. But the other one I changed again. This is all about me just ramping it up for the sake of it. But when Annie's on the plane, you wouldn't have to show it. You could if you want. But I wanted her to get tasered.
Yeah.
I wanted the marshal, the air marshal that Melissa McCarthy's been hitting on. He pulls out the taser, and I was like, she's going to get tasered. And
it just cut to it, yeah.
Even if it had just been with the two that start kissing each other on the plane.
Yeah.
Even if it was the scene they're kissing, and you just hear in the background the noise of the tasering. So then you would have known she got tasered. That to me would have been really funny. So there's just a couple of bits where I'd have ramped up the comedy in them scenes. So we've got our mystery question then. So this is the new segment that we're doing for Boxset 2. I've wrote questions for Liam that he hasn't seen and vice versa. So put your hand in the box and pick out a question.
Gonna go with that one.
That one?
That one.
Okay.
Come on, hit me.
Mystery question this week is, what's the sequel or the next movie, if it's a franchise, about?
Oh, interesting. Because I remember I did see the interview with Kristen Wiig where she said she's got no plans of making a sequel for it because she was like
she likes the story as it is.
Yeah. I like the resolution because it's not that clean. It's almost like at the end, Lillian appreciates that actually Annie's the only one who can sort of pull her out of her little panic before the end, and you come back to a bit of an understanding. But at the same time, I feel like they both acknowledge that things will never be the same afterwards. It's what I said before, that theme of there's a constant change in your friendship. You come around in cycles and stuff, and it's quite interesting. So, if we were to make a sequel, I think it would have to involve kids or...
Right, because this is like a good few years later now, isn't it? So so it'd be based around the kids.
But then I'm thinking, is it just now? This is 40, isn't it? Almost.
Is it going to be too similar?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Where would the obvious sequel be?
I'll tell you what I think is an obvious sequel, but maybe it is too similar. You could do a Hangover style movie.
Where the
hen part, like it's the hen party. You could do Melissa McCarthy's characters maybe getting married, or even Annie's getting married to Officer Rhodes. Maybe they waited like all this time because they didn't want to get married because you know what? Maybe she didn't want to commit or whatever. But it could be a road movie with those characters on a hen party. Maybe to Vegas. Maybe you get to see that version of them in Vegas, but a hen party for one of the other characters.
No, they go to Paris.
They all go to Paris.
I think that's...
So who's getting married though, do you think?
I don't...
do you just think it's like an anniversary thing or something? I think they just do something
where they all go to Paris and it just goes wrong.
Yeah, you can write numerous scenes, especially with Melissa McCarthy as well.
I'd love to, there's definitely there'll be a reason he goes to Paris, and I'd love to get little Taken vibes going off in there as well, do you know what I mean?
Someone gets taken
to something.
Oh, they have to go and find them.
I don't know. I always think, whenever I think of Paris in American films, now I think of Taken.
It's Melissa McCarthy's going around battering people trying to get one of the characters back.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would definitely watch that, yeah.
So what impression did the film make?
Right, impression-wise, budget, it was made with a budget of about 32.5 million. Box office returns was 306.5 million, which is a great return.
For a comedy.
This was a smash. And I'm sure I read somewhere it's the highest grossing film Judd Apatow's been involved.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
And you considering all the films and all what he's done, and it's this one that's been the biggest smash. I just think it says a lot.
I think this one is the one that appeals to audiences most, doesn't it? There's something for everyone in this, isn't it?
And don't forget, we mentioned it before, 2 Oscar nominations that year as well. So both original screenplay and supporting actress. For a comedy like this, to get 2 Oscar nominations, I think that's amazing. I think it really is.
But not Best Picture, I think, is unfair as well. Comedies very rarely get Best Picture nominations, do they? And it's not easy to make a comedy at all, is it?
And it's a great film, and it sort of goes into, remember I said about Michael Vinny, it's a boss little film. You know what I mean? It's well made, it's got that lovely sentiment to it. But what I am going to mention about... And it sort of carries on from one of the reasons I picked the film in the first place, is impact-wise. In 2011, this was quite a revolutionary film, purely on the back of it broke the conventions of female relationships and female-led comedy in Hollywood. If you go back, and it seems really strange saying this now, but it was like, I've been doing a few reviews, and he was saying it was groundbreaking in 2011 just to make a film purely about a group of female friends.
I think you had a lot of female-led TV shows like The Golden Girls and stuff like that were on. Kirstie and Ali was huge when I was a kid. Yeah. But it wasn't many big screen films.
Like Hollywood, and it still is, it's very male-dominated still. And even when you have females in top roles, it's still very complicit. Nothing, do you know what I mean? It's all from the point of view. Like, for example, I was reading this really good article about it, and he was saying where it's amazing is any other film pre-Bridesmaids, the rivalry between Annie and Helen would have been over a man. Yeah, it could have been played for laughs, but it would have been over a man. And then likewise, the Friends relationship would have all been a subplot with a male and female lead, if that makes sense. They would have all been dropped to a subplot. So this is the female Friends. So it's revolution, and it seems so strange to say that back, and like doesn't feel like it was that far away. But I think things have changed a lot recently. But I think impact wise, it really opened the door for a lot of female roles, female writers, female producers, female directors, because it wasn't and apparently like there was only one female director even considered, and he didn't go with it, which again was like, I think you should have possibly tried to find a female director to make a female film, but
yeah,
they did. But I think that's the biggest thing about Impact. I think it did change things a little bit, and I think good on Judd Apatow to actually have that hindsight, because he's actually been really good for giving. Yes, he's often criticised he doesn't really write characters of colour. That's definitely criticism. I'm sure he'll try and, it's something he's considering and working on. But he has give the voice to female characters in a lot of his films, and this for him to take the risk and go with this, I think was really well played by him.
So if anyone wants to watch it, how can they watch it?
Netflix.
Straight in.
Dead easy.
Dead easy on Netflix.
Bish bash bosh. Bridesmaids.
And if you do like this, what else would you like? I've gone with a couple of themes. I've gone with wedding movie theme.
Oh, yeah.
So The Hangover, it's very similar. It's obviously about it, a group of friends who kind of go into antics. The Wedding Singer from 1998 with Adam Sandler.
I just remember the song he sings, where it's like the two halves of a song. I love it.
Great film. Father of the Bride, Steve Martin.
Yeah.
1991. My Big Fat Greek Wedding from 2002. Wedding Crashers from 2005. And it's not really a wedding movie, but it's leading up to a wedding. Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
With De Niro and Ben Stiller from 2000. That's a great comedy. The other theme I've gone with is just because of that bridal shop scene. I've gone with movies where people just throw up.
Oh,
and the other reason I've gone with it is because the film won Best Gut-Wrenching Performance at the MTV Movie Awards as well, purely for that scene. So, a film that we've done, Stand By Me.
Yes.
The pie eating scene.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's a particularly famous sick scene. The Exorcist, obviously, with Linda Blair. That's the scene of her being sick. You've never seen The Exorcist?
Never seen The Exorcist.
Unbelievable. In The Matrix, Keanu Reeves, right after Morpheus. If you're shaking your head, we might have to end this show.
I've never seen The Matrix, and I don't know why. I've just never watched none of the Matrix films.
We've just lost half our listeners now. But basically, there's a scene in it where Lawrence Fishburne finally he tells them, what's going on, and how, you're now in the real world and stuff. And he's Joe Pantoliano, who's Cypher in it, says like he's gonna pop, and eventually he throws up. Team America.
Yes,
that is like a nearly 1 minute non-stop puke scene. Puke scene. Super bad. Throws up on them all as soon as they come out the club, and then the last one is coming back to Judd Apatow, that circle of people. Paul Rudd in I Love You Man. When they're doing the beer drinking contest, and he just throws up right across. It's unbelievable. And John Hamm, recommendation, is obviously he was the doctor, the handsome doctor in an episode of 30 Rock. So you should watch 30 Rock.
We were having a laugh about this, but you couldn't have picked any option to get to 30 Rock. And
it was an easy one this week, wasn't it?
They are literally dotted all over the place. Okay. Couple of ones I picked out. If you like Bridesmaids, you will like this. Is my first theme. I've gone with big female comedy characters, and the first name on my list was Roseanne from Roseanne. I just think it's incredible. If those ignore the last season and the new reboot recently,
which she's not in now.
Yeah, it sort of disappeared. The writing on Roseanne for a couple of years was just untouchable, and still is today. I think it's amazing, and just to see that perspective again of a woman, and again of a working class family in America as well. That aspirational thing we do, and I think Judd Apatow is something he's ran along with as well. Is that you don't have to see this vision of America that we think there is. It's all very like
they live in the biggest houses.
Yeah. I like to see other perspectives. Another one, Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec. If you're talking big female characters, another one which, if you're talking big female character, Karen from Will and Grace.
Yes, she's really funny, isn't she?
Honestly, it's a good sitcom, but take Karen out of it, and it's average.
It links a little bit to the Leslie Knope one.
Well,
because
we've got, obviously, Megan Mulroney's married to Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
And she plays Tammy, wife number 2 in Parks and Rec. And she steals the show whenever she's in that as well.
Yeah, she's unbelievable when she appears, and Ron Swanson can't contain himself, can he?
Just love it. I love it. But yeah, Megan Mulroney, I think she's an amazing actress. Another one I've got is Jane Lynch in both Glee and Role Models. She steals the show.
She is really good in Role Models, isn't she? I have never seen Glee.
She pretty much plays the same character in it.
Right.
And when she's on screen, she's on screen. I think she's brilliant. And have you ever seen Best in Show?
Yeah, it's the
Jennifer Coolidge who plays the... She's married to the real old guy.
Yes.
She just... And obviously she's gone on to do White Lotus as well. I think she's brilliant in that. You've also... I picked Pitch Perfect, because it's a similar type film, but I think Rebel Wilson and Pitch Perfect, I think it's the second one where she comes down on the wires on stage and it goes wrong. I just think it makes me howl with laughter.
She is hilarious.
She's brilliant. But also Elizabeth Banks, who plays the news host in it and the commentary, she's just brilliant in it. And I think she's one of the writers as well.
I think she is, yeah. She just directed Cocaine Bear as well.
Yeah. So she's... I just think those two in a film, Renée Zellweger, Bridget Jones, I don't think you could rule that out as well.
There was the 2 or 3 movies for that.
It's free, yeah. And The Heat by Melissa McCarthy, if she plays, I just think she plays it so well. So, but again, like I said earlier, you can put anything by Melissa McCarthy on that list. The other theme I went with him, it's almost not a theme, it's almost like a whole genre, is Judd Apatow. Just his name connected to stuff. And I'm just going to this is just a list of some I've picked out. Girls, again, groundbreaking TV series. Pineapple Express, Step Brothers, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Getting to the Greek, Superbad, Anchorman, The Larry Sanders Show, Dave. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know he was attached to Larry Sanders Show. But above all, if anyone out there gets an opportunity to go back and watch Freaks and Geeks, it is amazing.
So I don't think that ever even made it here.
Never made it over here.
You had to buy it on like a Region 1 DVD or something.
That's how I watched it.
It was Pirates of the Caribbean last week. I'll be honest, I couldn't get through the first episode. It just didn't resonate with me, but I know it's probably one you got to stick with. But
yeah,
I don't know if I'm too old now and I'm watching it at a time, and maybe it was one of those shows that in the day it's like if I put the Wonder Years on for the kids, who are older now, they'd go, what is this? But at the time I used to love the Wonder Years, and I think Freaks and Geeks is one of those shows that I think you've got to be I was a certain age, or
I don't know, because I think you've got, because there's only 8 episodes, I believe, as well, so it's short-lived. Its impact, you know...
Oh, the cast, they've all got on, yeah.
They're all amazing. I just think it's groundbreaking, and it sets Judd Apatow up his whole career, just doing it. I would say go back and rewatch it, and at some point, you just watch and go, this is amazing.
It's got a huge cult following, hasn't it?
It's amazing.
So that was Liam's pick, Bridesmaids. And maybe, just maybe, you should watch it if you can. This was a Watch It If You Can production, executive produced by Kenny, our Val's lad, on Work Experience.
Don't forget to follow, rate and share from wherever you get your podcast from.